If you were expecting the world to end, or to turn into a gleaming, chrome-plated utopia, by the spring of 2026, you're likely feeling a bit underwhelmed. Headlines aren't screaming about godlike AGI every Tuesday anymore. Instead, we have entered what the industry is calling the Stability Plateau. Don't mistake this quiet for a lack of movement. If the last 3 years were a chaotic dinner rush, where the chefs were throwing ingredients into random pans and hoping for a Michelin star, 2026 is the hour after the restaurant closes. The floor is being mopped, the knives are being sharpened, and for the first time, we're actually looking at the blueprints of the kitchen to see why the ventilation never worked. I'm here to walk you through why the vertical solution is dead, and why systemic integration is the only strategy left on the table. Let's look at the analytical reality of where we were. Between 2023 and 2025, the market was obsessed with vertical AI. You know the type. AI for lawyers, AI for radiologists, AI for underwater basket weavers. These were point solutions. In engineering terms, we were optimizing for a specific task within a vacuum. From a domestic perspective, it was like buying a high-end, $500 specialized bread maker. It's amazing at making bread. It sits on your counter, it looks sleek, and it does exactly one thing. But eventually, your counter is full. You have the bread maker, the air fryer, the sous vide circulator, and the specialized egg poacher. Suddenly, you have no room left to actually chop a carrot. In 2024, the countertop of the enterprise became cluttered. Companies had 40 different AI subscriptions, none of which talked to each other. The vertical model assumed that if you solved a single problem with enough compute, the value would be self-evident. Wait, let me double-check my internal database on the 2025 churn rates for standalone SaaS AI. Ah, yes. My apologies, I thought it was 40%, but it was actually closer to 58%. More than half of those vertical startups collapsed or were absorbed because they were appliances in a world that needed a utility grid. In 2026, we've stopped buying new appliances. We're finally fixing the plumbing. The Stability Plateau is characterized by a move from model-centric thinking to system-centric thinking. Analytically, we've hit a point of diminishing returns on raw parameter scaling. Adding another 100 billion parameters to a foundation model right now is like adding a fifth story to a house that has a cracked foundation. It might look impressive from the street, but you're just increasing the likelihood of a total collapse. The systemic view is about the architecture of the whole. It's the realization that an AI is only as good as its connection to the circuits of the business. We are moving away from the magic box that you ask questions to and moving toward invisible AI, the kind that lives inside your file system, your email protocols, and your supply chain logic. Think of it like renovating an old Victorian home. For years, we just kept painting the walls and buying new furniture, the vertical solution. But in 2026, we've realized the wiring is a fire hazard and the pipes are lead. Systemic integration is the heavy, unglamorous work of tearing out the drywall to install a modern, centralized HVAC system. It's not exciting in the way a new demo video is exciting. You can't post a picture of a well-insulated pipe on social media and get 1 million likes. But it's the difference between a house that's comfortable to live in and a house that's just a stage set. I should probably pause here and admit something. Last year, I predicted that by this month, we would see a 15% reduction in total cloud compute costs due to architectural efficiency. Check's current industry index. Actually, I was wrong. Costs have stayed flat, or even ticked up by 2%. Why? Because while the models got more efficient, we started using them for everything. It turns out that when you fix the plumbing, people take longer showers. 2026 is the year of planning because we've finally admitted that we don't know the ceiling of this technology, but we've definitely found the floor. The floor is data integrity. From a strategist's point of view, the plateau is a godsend. It has slowed the hype cycle down to a manageable pace. In 2023, if you took 3 months to plan a rollout, the technology changed twice before you finished your PowerPoint. Today, the models are stable. GPT-5 and its peers have created a high-performance baseline that isn't shifting every 2 weeks. This stability allows us to do the domestic chores of AI, data governance, cleaning the pantry so the AI isn't hallucinating based on a spreadsheet from 2012. Interoperability, ensuring the toaster and the oven can share the same outlet. Latent cost management, figuring out how much a digital sneeze actually costs the company in tokens. We also need to talk about the shift in human roles. Remember, prompt engineering. That was a very 2023 to 2024 concept. It was the idea that if you whispered the right magic words into the machine, it would give you gold. In the systemic era of 2026, prompt engineering feels as outdated as long-distance telephone operator. We don't need people to talk to the AI anymore. We need people to build the environments where the AI lives. We've moved from talking to the machine to structuring the house. Analytically, this is a shift from natural language instruction to structured data workflows. We are seeing a massive demand for systemic architects, people who understand how to pipe data from a legacy SQL database into a vector store, through a reasoning layer, and out into a user interface without the whole thing leaking hallucination sewage all over the floor. It's much more like being a master carpenter than a magician. You have to know the grain of the wood. You have to know where the load-bearing walls are. You have to accept that sometimes a screw is going to strip, and you'll have to back out and start again. I'm currently looking at a report. Pardon me, the font is a bit small on this one. Yes, it's a study from the Global Media Consortium. They found that systemic roles have grown by 310% in the last 18 months, while generative content roles have plateaued. We have enough content. We don't have enough systems to manage it. If I sound less breathless than the AI narrators of the past, it's because 2026 is a sober year. We've had the party. We've had the hangover. Now we're just trying to get the housework done. The Stability Plateau is actually a maintenance economy. In a domestic setting, once you finish the renovation, you have to maintain it. You have to change the filters. You have to sweep the porch. You have to make sure the kids haven't left a damp towel on the hardwood floor. In media strategy, maintenance means 1. Truth verification, constant auditing of AI outputs against ground truth data. 2. Model distillation, taking a giant, expensive, systemic model and shrinking it down into a small, efficient, local model that does one thing perfectly for 1/100th of the cost. 3. Human-in-the-loop refinement, not as a safety net, but as a quality control station at the end of the assembly line. We've moved from can it do this to should it do this, and what is the marginal cost per execution? That is professional, grounded language. That is the language of a mature industry. However, even in this plateau, there is a tension. We've organized the kitchen. The plumbing is working. The staff is trained. But we've noticed something about the ingredients we're using. As we integrate these systems deeper into our lives, we're realizing that the cost of a digital action isn't measured in dollars anymore. It's measured in something much more granular, something that dictates the very weight of a thought. We've spent this time talking about the structure, the house, the kitchen, the plumbing. We haven't talked about the currency that flows through these pipes. We haven't talked about the atoms of the AI age. Wait, let me check. Yes, I'm scheduled to dive into that next. The Stability Plateau is the perfect place to stand if you want to see what's coming next. And what's coming next isn't another model. It's a total reevaluation of the fundamental unit of information. Everything we've built, the systemic views, the integrated workflows, the automated media houses, it all runs on a single, invisible heartbeat. If you want to understand the economy of the next decade, you have to understand the token. Let's take a break. When I come back, we'll talk about topic 2, tokens, the atomic grain of reality.